Hi everyone, it's Kay. I wanted to share with you how I'm going to make my sewing toolbox. So first of all, I'm going to do a few video tutorials, and they're going to be short little quick ones, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. Right now I don't have my computer, so I can't use my webcam. So I'm just going to do this short little quick tutorials and show you how I'm walk you through the process of it. So I'm starting off with a pre-made box. This is Graphic 45 box. I got this at Country Craft Creations. It's one where the inside of the box can slide through either direction. And of course you have this opening on the top. So that's the box I'm using. And the paper I'm using, of course, for sewing box, you have to use Authentique Stitches. And there's the papers right there. Oh my gosh, love the ruler paper. And that with the different stitches on it's really cute too. All of them are really cute. So that's the paper I'm using. And so the first thing that you want to do is decide how you want your box to be divided up. What kind of compartments do you want to have? So when you're doing this, and of course you can do, any configuration in your box that you want. And it's not really that hard. So I'll walk you through it here. This box is about, from bottom to the top here, is 3 inches. I do not want my dividers going all the way up to the edge to the top. The reason for that is because nothing is perfect. And it's really hard to cut everything perfectly straight. And so let's just say this side is a 1/16 of an inch shorter than this side on this box. It could happen. I mean, things are just never that perfectly straight. And so it's just really hard, or maybe you just can't quite cut it that 1/32 of an inch the same. You know what I mean? So it's just really hard. For me anyway, it's just too much trouble to even have to worry about it. So I cut my chipboard a little bit less than 2 3/4. And the reason I cut it a little bit less than 2 3/4 is because my paper is going to be 2 3/4 high. So the first thing you want to do is get some thin chipboard, and this is like really thin, like maybe cereal box thin, which you could do. You could do a cereal box if it's long enough or wide enough or whatever. So I cut me a thin piece of chipboard, and this box is approximately 8 3/8 from inner wall to inner wall. So I cut my chipboard just slightly larger than 8 3/8, so it's just a nice tight fit. Now, if it's too tight, it will buckle, and that's just too tight. It's just one of those you have to play around with to get it just right. If there's just a very, very, very slight sliver of a gap, don't worry about it, right? Don't be that technical. It'll be fine. So anyway, so you want to cut your chipboard just a little bit lower than the box, height of the box, and just a little tight. And then the same things with these dividers. You want to cut them a little tight. And they will, if they're too tight, you're going to be pushing in here and pushing here. So you don't want it so tight that it's pushing way too much, so that this is going to be all weird. But it's just going to be tight enough that you hardly have any kind of a gap at all. And once you've glued everything down, it's gonna be perfect. So, and let's see, the next thing was on this compartment here. I wanted this raised up, this section, because it's, like I said, it's 3 inches deep. So you're gonna reach down into the box and grab your tools, grab your thread. But I have these bobbins, and I'm not gonna have so many that I need to fill up that whole 3-inch deep space. And I just would rather them to be easily seen. So I'm going to stack them, you know, in my box probably this way, you know, because I figure I'll have about 10 or so in here. And so because of that, I wanted this raised up. Now to do that, I'll show you how to do that. So the next thing, if you're going to want a raised section, a compartment in your box, then you need to measure here. Now my width from here to this chipboard piece here is 2.5 inches. And so this piece needs to be slightly less than 2.5 inches so that it'll just slide right in there without pushing this board out that way. And then it also needs to be, this is approximately 2 3/4 inches. So it also needs to be a little bit less than 2 3/4 inches across. So what I did is I cut this a little bit less than 2.5. Then I decided I wanted this to be 1 3/4 inches tall. So I measured 1 3/4 inches from the edge to here, and I just lightly cut it. So this is a heavier chipboard than this. This is a really thin chipboard, like cereal box chipboard, and this is your typical chipboard that you use to make a cover on an album or something like that. And so from here to here I measured 1 3/4, and so I lightly cut it so that it will scores it and I can bend it like that. And then I measured a little bit less than 2 3/4 because that's the width I need to slide it in between this wall of the box and this chipboard piece that fell down there. And then, so that was a little bit less than 2 3/4. So then I again cut it here just enough to score it. And then from here to here is going to be 1 3/4. And so then I have this 1 3/4 inch stand. And so that is the first step in making the box. The next step will involve, you know, adding the paper and putting in our drawer pulls. So I will be back with that next. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.